I've got there we go. I got the recording started.
So I'm on a church Wi-Fi, and you know how that is.
Looks like
Yes.
you're in a bishop's
Yes.
office.
Very well.
At least it's not a Wednesday night.
Yeah, what's that?
So at least it's not on Wednesday night. Then you might be even.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. They got something going on in the church today. I've just got some appointments tonight, but
Yeah. I know the bishop used to always complain to me to try to talk to the stake technology expert to get him a better DSL. They didn't ever. They didn't ever listen to our complaints. I think it's pretty standard.
yeah,
I think it has like
definitely.
a T1 or something.
Definitely, it's not so good. We
Very much.
we set up our own little network inside the church here, and it does a little better than the other one, but it's still not very good.
Yeah.
So we live with it, I guess.
Yeah. I can
So
see
the rest
how
of
that would happen.
Right. Well, good. All right. So I wanted to go through a few things. We got about a half an hour. I think you booked 15 minutes, but I moved one of my other appointments out just in case we needed a little bit more time. And so I've got a few things I want to talk about, and then really just open up the rest of the time for you to ask questions, and just talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. The reason why I started doing this is because the course is unique enough that there are a lot of questions that come up, and rather than field them all individually, I thought that I would get students together and do it as a team. And over the last couple semesters, it really has helped people to understand, the students to understand what's going on in the class. So I just have a few kind of bullet points, and then we can get to your questions, and hopefully these bullet points that I go over, they're really the main questions that I hear from students. So they may or may not answer your specific questions, but anyway, so a couple of things to kind of understand about the class. The syllabus started out by saying, this isn't a programming class. Well, obviously you're doing programming. But I think what it really means is that there's a lot more to the class than just the programming. Because not only are you learning programming and you're learning these technologies and diagrams and stuff like that, but you're also learning how to work as a team. You're learning how to learn in a new way. I have to admit, it is a different way of learning than you typically get in a university environment, where you come into a class and the instructor stands up and lectures and stuff like that. It's just different than that. Some students have a hard time adjusting to it. Some students say, I don't feel like I'm getting my money's worth because the instructor isn't doing the teaching. And it is kind of true, but what the instructor does is try to create an environment where you can learn more than you'll ever learn when you go into a class and listen to a lecture. So that's really the brunt of why it's different. And I have to say that students who are bothered by the structure or lack of structure, they're bothered by the way that it is, and they just never get over it, are students that will struggle through the whole semester. But those who are a little bit patient and they kind of come into this with an open mind. I mean, I had this student last semester, in fact, who, the first 2 or 3 weeks was bugging me like every day that she didn't like this and she didn't like that and all the stuff, And I just kept telling her, just kind of be patient and wait it out, and you'll get the hang of it. And at the end of the class, she talked to me about just how amazing her learning experience was, more so than she's ever had in a programming or another kind of a technology class. So I guess I just say, be patient and hang on there, and it'll get better. The other thing that I hear a lot is that if you look at the grading, and next week I'll be posting a video and more information about grading. And I have to say this before I get to my other point, and that is the stuff that I'm posting to the class community in the discussion forum is really, really important for you to go in and to take a few minutes to read, because it answers most of the questions that students have over the semester. So I posted one about understanding portfolios. If you haven't had a chance to read it, you should read it, because it's going to tell you exactly what an understanding portfolio is, how you create it, how you submit it, and it will answer most of your questions. I created one on scheduling. It's the same thing. And I will be publishing one next week on grading. It's going to get into a lot of detail about grading. Grading is really interesting in this class because 90% of your grade is individual, but more than 50% of your time will be spent with your team. So sometimes I have students who say, why should I spend all this time with my team when it doesn't come to my grade? And the way that I answer that is that the team is critical for your individual grade. Because you can, and I've had students who said, I don't even want to be on a team, I'm just going to go it alone. I said, okay. And they really go it alone. You have to learn every topic completely on your own. You have to do everything you do on your own. But if you work as a team, if you're close as a team, if you spend time as a team, if you teach as a team, you're going to find that you learn the topics so much faster and so much deeper than you would any other way. So get into your team and work as a team. There's a piece of the teamwork that has to do with an application that you create as a team. Students will say, well, I'm not being graded on that team application, so why should I do it? The reasons are a few. The first is that it gives you a chance, you'll learn how to develop an application as a team. That's important. You'll learn the topics as a team. You'll learn them much better than you would individually. And then the third thing is, if you review the grading video for next week, you'll notice that in order to get full credit on each of your coding topics, you have to integrate that topic with 2 or 3 other topics on the list. That really you do that best when you're using an application rather than just little programs. And it's kind of like bonus points, because you jump from like a B- to an A on all the topics you integrate all at the same time if you do that. So that's some of the kind of the stuff associated with the team. The other thing I wanted to just mention is that we learn best in an iterative way, meaning that I learn a little bit, and then I get some feedback, and then I learn a little more, and I get some more feedback, and then I learn a little more, and I get some more feedback. That's the way your understanding portfolio should work. The first level of learning, or the first time that you turn in your understanding portfolio, it's generally going to be teaching in your team or individually. It's going to have maybe some research that you've done, and then some sandbox code. Sandbox code is just a kind of a funny word for meaning I got some code off the internet, I put it into my GitHub repository, and I kind of messed around with it and tried to understand what it did. That's really all that sandbox code thing is. That's really your first level of learning. That gets you to what we call a disagree in the grading. Then if you take that, the second level of learning is taking that sandbox code and writing your own program from scratch that deals with the particular topic. So like, let's say Hibernate, right? submitting that is your second level of learning. And then the third level of learning, and really the highest level that we cover here, is where you integrate that topic, Hibernate, with JSON and MVC, for instance. Now you've been able to not only understand how the technology works, but how you would really use it in an application. So that iterative approach means that you don't have to turn in something that does everything all at once. Rather, you turn it in a little bit at a time. Each time you submit your understanding portfolio for submit, I will give you feedback and kind of help you to understand what the next steps are for you. So there's a lot of value in turning it in an iterative way. So just another couple of things. The next one is that you will be next week creating a schedule. Two different ones, actually. A schedule for your individual work and a schedule for your team. Now, I do not expect that you're going to be 100% accurate on your schedule. You're going to find that some topics, like, I don't know, Java collections, take a little less time than you planned, and some topics, like Hibernate, take a little more than you planned. And that's okay, but as you're sticking to that schedule as closely as you can, it'll help you to not procrastinate everything to the end and to have more consistent learning experience throughout the semester. And so those are really the main things. I guess one other thing I would say, this is kind of a myth buster moment, and that is you don't have to create an Android application. You certainly can. A lot of teams do, and they have a great experience doing it because it's something interesting and fun and so forth and so on, but it's not a requirement. If you created a web app instead of an Android app, you don't get any less credit. And let me just say one other quick thing, and that is your grade is based on 5 things. It's based on your coding topics, which is worth 1/3 of your grade, by the way. It's based on your diagrams, which is worth almost another 1/3. And then it's based on 3 things that make up the third, and that is your schedules, professional behavior, and your journal. And the last 3 things you really do in the last quarter of the semester, and I suggest that you do focus on the coding topics for about the first half of the semester, and then you can start working on your diagrams and other things. So that kind of gives you, those are really the main points that I wanted to bring out. So with that, I guess I would open it up to you guys for what kinds of questions you guys have for me.
So the question I had regarding well, basically what we were talking about in email, the understanding portfolio, I'm guessing you want it more in a simple document that you can go reference links. I guess I could understand how that would be easier. Am I correct?
Yeah, so there's, if you've read the Understanding Portfolio or watched the Understanding Portfolio video, and I also just posted a sample out in the community, you can do it a few different ways. One way is you can have a document that you just post onto GitHub, and I go out there and get it directly off of GitHub. You can attach like a Word document to your email you submit. You just put it in the body or message of an email. But the idea is that for each topic that you're covering, so let's say this week I'm doing Hibernate and JSON. So for each topic, you'd provide me you'd say, okay, for Hibernate, this is what I did this week. I taught in my team. I wrote this program, and here's the link to it. For your team, you want to provide me the link to your team video and tell me, like, it's at minute number 18 or something, so I don't have to go through the entire video, 10 times, one for each student. So you're giving me direct evidence, and you're being really specific about it. With 50 students, it's pretty tough if I have to spend, a half an hour wading through your repository to try to find where it is that you did, Hibernate stuff. So tell me what you did. Give me a little bit of information about it. Like, I added this, this, and this to it from last time because it's going to be incremental over time. You can create one of those documents for each time you submit. Or I have had students who have just had one that they keep adding to. But the only thing I would say about that is make sure that you highlight what changed from the last time, because I'm not going to remember what it looked like last time. Sometimes I forget my name during the day. What you last time you said. No. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'll go back through my understanding portfolio and make it a more concise edition. So thank you.
Yep, you bet. Very good. What other questions you guys have?
I have a question.
Yeah.
As far as the 14 subjects, is there going to be, you gave us kind of a start on reference this, reference that. Are we on our own to learn more about it, like Google and Codeplex or whatever? Or are we to use the group?
Topics?
Yeah. Yeah, the MVC, the collections, all of that stuff.
For the 14 coding topics?
Yes, yes. Because there's not a book.
So first of all, there is a topics and resources materials item that's in iLearn that has some links.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
There's some, but not a lot. So what I'm asking is,
not a lot.
Go out and get more. Yeah. Okay. I was just curious.
Yes.
About that. If there was a specific.
There's only one topic. There's only one topic, and that is application controller pattern. That doesn't give you very much information if you go searching for it. And so I will actually post some information on application controller pattern to the discussion forum a little bit later in the class. But all of the other ones are very, very, very common topics.
Yeah.
If you look at Hibernate, you're going to find a million links.
Yeah,
same thing with JSON, same thing with collections, same thing with HTTP URL. Every one of them, you're going to find just more information than you know what to do with.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Very good. What else?
I have a question, and I'm sorry I'm late. I'm in my internship, and I just could join you guys. But how often should we report to you the topics we've been working on? Like weekly?
Like, what would be your recommendation?
Hey, sorry, you were breaking up a little bit.
I was just
I didn't
asking,
catch you.
How often should we report to you the topics that we've been working on? Like, should we report to you weekly? Hey, I did this two or this one during this week.
Good question. So your report to me is with your understanding portfolio. You can submit that as often as you like. I would suggest that you are submitting it at least every couple of weeks, because that gives me a chance to give you feedback every couple of weeks. You'll put together a schedule, and you want to put that schedule together so that it says that, so it kind of lays out how often you're going to work on different topics. And I would say, as soon as you get a little bit done, send it in to me, and I'll give you some feedback on it.
All right.
Very good. Good question. What else?
So I have a question. You talked about the iterative, way of doing things. I was just curious to know when we will be getting some feedback about the stuff we've done up to this point.
So broke up a little bit there. You're curious about when I will be getting feedback?
About the stuff that we've done up to this point.
Okay, good. So I think I have 3 students left to do for this week. They should be done either by the end of today or early tomorrow. I usually try to get them done by Wednesday of the week so that you have them to incorporate into your next one.
Okay, thank you. I was just looking forward to it to kind of get a feel for what the standard would be and what you expect better. This has helped a lot too, so thank you.
You bet. Very good. What else?
I don't have any more, just FYI. So.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Nah, I'm good. This is my 3rd time through the course, so I know what I'm doing this time.
Where would you say the line is between when we work as a group on certain codes and when we turn it in individually? What are the things we should know to not do or be aware of there?
So if you, yeah, that's a good question because you're going to be working on stuff together. Certainly, what you want to turn in from the team for your individual portfolio is stuff that you worked on as a part of the team, right? So if you pair programmed with somebody on I don't know, a piece of your application that was involved with Hibernate, I keep using Hibernate, you can turn that in. But if somebody else did all the development on it, then you should not turn that in. You can certainly, though, use their examples and what you learned from their code to write your own.
Okay, I think that's kind of where I was headed. I just want to make sure that it doesn't have to be 100% completely unique with regard to that we could kind of piggyback off of our group work or pair work or whatever it was.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in programming, we rarely develop anything that's 100% unique. You know, there is kind of that plagiarism line you have to be careful of. That's for sure. But I want you to learn from each other too. Right.
So when are we supposed to decide on a subject to program on?
Yeah, very good. So for your team, during next week, you'll need to put together a presentation as a team. And that presentation it's a little bit like your elevator pitch that you did individually, but it will be a presentation that you develop as a team, and as a part of that, you'll want to tell me what your topic is or what your application is, and then you'll tell me stuff like what kind of a methodology you're going to use. If you're going to use Agile, Scrum, for instance, you can use whatever. And then you'll also provide your high-level schedule for developing your application. So that's next week.
Okay.
And that application you said does not necessarily have to be, it could be web or whatever type we decided as a team.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I posted some Android stuff because the class actually started out as an Android development class, but all the topics that you learn you could apply to Android, but you could apply them to just middleware-based programming too, right? And some front end. I mean, JSON is mostly used on the front end, but also in the middle. So for sure. So we've got about a minute and a half, and I have another appointment. But if there aren't any more questions, where are you guys calling from?
From Rexburg.
I'm also from Rexburg.
Rexburg, yes.
I'm in Colorado.
Colorado. What part of Colorado?
Colorado Springs. About an hour south of Denver.
The Springs.
Yes.
Well, I lived in the Springs,
Cool.
actually. And my son is in the Colorado Springs, Colorado Mission
Really?
right now.
I will look for him.
Yeah, look him up. He's on, I think he's in the East Stake.
That's where I am. What ward is he in? Do you know?
Oh, he serves a couple of wards.
I'm in the
They're
Oakwood.
up kind of by the academy.
So where?
Up by the academy, kind of. I think
Okay.
east of the academy.
Okay. That's a little ways away, but I'll look him up. I'm pretty close with a bunch of them. So
So yeah,
that's cool.
look him up. It's Elder Tuckett. Yeah, that's cool. Where else you guys from?
Indiana.
What's that?
Indiana.
Indiana. What part of Indiana?
South Bend.
Okay, cool. Been to South Bend a few times. So do you cheer for BYU or Notre Dame?
Notre Dame.
Ew.
Close.
You're out of the team.
I grew up with Notre Dame in my backyard. I gotta root for the Catholics.
We're all rooting.
Absolutely. That's great. Who else? Where else?
I'm in Denver.
Denver. Okay, that's close. Ashley, where are you at?
I live in Rexburg, but right now I'm in Park City, Utah.
In Park City.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Cool. So I'm calling from Grantsville, Utah, which is about 40 miles west of Salt Lake.
Okay.
Yeah, I work downtown, downtown Salt Lake, for Fidelity Investments in their enterprise cybersecurity unit.
Cool.
Nice.
Awesome.
So you kind of
But I grew up in Rexburg. I spent the first 15 years of my life there. Well, no, I moved to Rexburg when I was 4, and I went on a mission when I was 19, and I spent the whole time there. So I hear it's finally starting to warm up into the 50s.
That's something.
So, all right. Well, all right. Thanks, you guys. It was great to sit down and meet with you.
Thanks for your
If
time.
you have
Thank
any
you.
other kinds of questions, just feel free to shoot them over to me, and we'll get them answered for you. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.